Today we're gonna talk about bodies. Why do we have so many negative comments about ourselves? Worst yet, why do I have so many negative comments about other people? Also, why in the world am I holding a spatula? We're going to be answering all of these questions and more in today's Body Talk. So at some point in our lives, we all have to deal with that voice in the back of our minds telling us that there is something wrong. You feel as if you are somehow made unfairly different from everybody else. Something that they think makes them look unattractive, something that is just always sticking out, even if nobody else is paying attention. This is what we refer to as an insecurity. You lack confidence because there is something, a feature, a feeling about yourself or about your body that you do not like. My journey with body insecurities really started when I stepped into adulthood. Back in high school, I never necessarily struggled with insecurities because nobody is really going off on not feeling beautiful or not feeling as if they, fit into a certain style, or it really wasn't that intense. And as I got older, I realized, okay, even those girls in high school that looked just like me, after a while, I can't compare myself to them even though we're in the same age. They have totally changed physically, and change in the sense where they now have woman bodies. So just to give you guys a little bit of information to prove that I am qualified to talk today about this topic. I am 5'5", and I can't believe I'm putting this out for the entire world to know, but I'm basically less than 100 pounds. When you talk about insecurities for a young adult female who looks half her age, basically, well, let me not say half, but yeah, looks not her age, it's very challenging. One of the questions that I wanted to explore when thinking about doing this video was, what are the causes of these insecurities? A lot of how we feel about ourselves is external. We look around and we see persons that we would want to look like. We see what we believe to be an ideal body or an ideal lifestyle or way of life, whatever it might be. Immediately what happens is you start to compare yourself to somebody else. Why can't I look like that? What am I doing wrong? Or why do I not feel like doing anything to change? Another source of our insecurities can also be internal. Perhaps you were raised in an environment where you stuck out like a sore thumb among all your friends or family members, whether it be your skin color, your hair type. You constantly have to deal with that inside thought that I'm different and therefore I'm not beautiful, I'm ugly, I'm just not it. And what I really want you guys to get today is that being different does not equate to being ugly. This is what I think I'd like to refer to as the ugly duckling theory. Because you look different, your body shape is different, the color of your skin, the texture of your hair does not mean that you're ugly or that there's something wrong with you. So another factor that contributes to these insecurities, and looking at it, I think this would definitely fall under external. That is the problem of beauty standards. Beauty standards are basically values that are applied to somebody's appearance, which qualifies them to fit into a certain community. This is something that definitely impacts a lot of persons' insecurities, because if you don't meet that standard, then obviously you are on the other side of the stick, which tells you that you are not necessarily acceptable in that space that you are. If I don't have a small waist or a small nose, or if my hair is a certain type, automatically I don't meet this standard. Ideally, what we'd like to see is an acceptance of everybody's body type, everybody being treated equally, no discrimination or feeling stigmatized for not looking a certain way in order to fit into a certain community. It's very sad to know that because of other factors that we can't control, like genetics and health issues or health related reasons, and just overall somebody's lifestyle, that they can't be considered beautiful or equal to somebody that looks different. Allow me to demonstrate. Some women look like this. As beautiful as you are, there will always be somebody who has something negative to say. Somebody that comes with a comment or something that just makes you feel that you are not beautiful. And just like this soup spoon, you have so much value to add. You have so much to offer. You are so much more than your curves and your fully endowed body. And yet still you are constantly being the target for just people and their rude thoughts. And I just want to say to any woman right now who you have always had to be dealing with fat jokes and people talking about your belly hanging out and the size of your breast, or just always something negative or some sly comment, that you are beautiful. You are beautiful the way God made you. And even though I am not a supporter of an unhealthy lifestyle or just being comfortable with not being healthy, I am also very supportive of women who wear their curves and embrace what God has blessed them with. Some women, on the other hand, their spatula looks like this. And so, like, yeah, we're more on the angular side of life, alright? And that's fine. You have to learn how to respect people and stop asking people, like, if them eat food. Of course I eat food. How else would I stay alive? How else would I be breathing and making YouTube videos for YouTube, right? These are things that you have to consider. People's feelings, for example, and not feeling as though because they don't fit your standard that you can just go around saying anything that you want. And so what the beauty standard says, and what I have observed, is that you somehow have to fit into a middle ground. So if you're a woman that looks like this, like, thumbs up to you. You know, you have all the curves in the right places, small waist, not too much around the back, go on right through. And that's not true. Like, you are beautiful, don't get me wrong. Like, you are definitely fearfully and wonderfully made. But when we exalt one type of figure and make everybody else in the kitchen feel as if something is wrong, then that is where the problem lies. Everyone is equally beautiful, everyone is equally important, and should be treated with equal amount of respect. By the way, let me know in the comments which kitchen utensil are you, and what are some things that you have had to deal with. One of the verses that I love to reference, and that I believe is the most common when it comes on to talks about body image and beauty standards, is Psalm 139 and verse 14, that says, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." This is a very common verse, and I believe it should be, because a lot of us, if we are honest, if someone asks us to describe how we feel about ourselves, wonderful would not necessarily be an adjective at the front of the line. And this is important because God made you wonderful. God made you beautiful, regardless of how you feel inside or what anybody else has to say. Another verse that I want to highlight in this section is 1 Peter 3 verses 3 to 4. And it says, your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. This is a verse that encourages us to redefine beauty in our mind. Yes, it's all good and well to put yourself together and wanting to feel beautiful, but if you feel as though you are not fitting into culture's standard or society's way of life when it comes on to your body, then you will always have to remember that it's not just about how you look on the outside. It has to do with what's going on the inside, your personality, your character. Those are actually things that shine on the outward. And so we all have to take a step back and not just remember that I am physically beautiful, but how I portray myself and how I reflect Christ or just good values and standards has a lot to do with my beauty. And the final verse I want to highlight here is Proverbs 31 and verse 30 that says, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. No matter how much we would want to try to fit into a mold physically of how we should look or what is accepted, after you deal with one problem, another one is going to arise. There will always be something that you feel is out of place. What happens when you don't fit into a certain beauty standard, or worse yet, when you achieve what you want and suddenly other persons don't fit into that beauty standard? This is what leads to body shaming. Body shaming is having negative comments or discriminating comments about somebody else's appearance, somebody else's figure that's different from your own, or what you think is a breaking of the beauty standard rule. Body shaming manifests itself in many different ways. It can look like criticizing yourself, always having something negative about how you look, even if it's the slightest comment about that dress that you just put on, or how you did your hair, or how you think your face looks, your nose, some feature. Always under self-scrutiny. If you were to take a step outside of yourself and listen to how you talk to yourself, just pretend as if you're looking in from the outside, would you be happy about the things that you say? Another way it manifests itself is criticizing somebody's appearance in front of them, making comments like, why are you eating that? Don't you see how big you are? Like, you need to eat more food. Like, look how skinny you look. You can have a different experience with body shaming based on where you were raised and what you grew to accept as normal. So persons might be body shaming you at this very moment in your immediate family, and you might laugh at it, and everybody takes it for a joke. You might not even be offended, and that is how something that is so negative has become so normalized, where it's like for some persons it's not a problem even though it is. Another way body shaming comes across is criticizing somebody's appearance without their knowledge. And if you ask me, this is probably the worst kind that you could ever do. Gossiping about somebody's image, their shape, what you think about them outside of their presence is really just turning the knife when it comes on to body shaming. It's bad enough that that person might be dealing with an insecurity and have your negative comments on top of all of that. What I would really suggest for persons who might think this is okay or might even struggle with this is to think if it were you. Like, consider how you feel when somebody says something or makes a comment about something that you might feel insecure about. Everybody has something that they would perhaps want to change, something that they're not confident about. And we really have to take into consideration what we go around saying to people. I am definitely guilty of this. Even very recently, I made a joke and I really had to apologize to my friend because I basically made reference to her weight and her size, and immediately no. And it takes time, but it also takes intentionality. It takes being mindful of what you're saying. And yeah, even if it's a joke, just be very careful. The effects of body shaming are horrible. A lot of persons, when they feel as if they are, or not even feel as if, when they are constantly being the target of criticism and negative comments, they might turn to self-harm. These things cause depression, anxiety. Persons might just feel as if they're just not good enough. And you don't want to contribute to that. At least I really doubt that anybody would want to purposely contribute to that. We really just have to be mindful with not only ourselves, but also other people. Instead of vocalizing what you think might be a joke, perhaps you could try to identify something nice about the person. Something that you like, something that you appreciate, and not always try to project perhaps your insecurity onto them. Say something nice. If you realize that there's a thought that comes to your head and you might think it would be funny, or you might just genuinely want to let this person know how you feel, even though you really don't have to, try to substitute that by saying something nice, saying something different, changing the thought. Anyway guys, that's it for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and it really wasn't the easiest topic to talk about. Honestly, I thought I would get through this in a breeze, but I'll know no breeze no blow. So yeah, I really hope you guys like today's content, and if you do, let it show by hitting that like button. And if you like today's video and if you want to see more from our faith family over here, my little corner of YouTube, definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys in my next video. It is so hot right now, honestly, like